that Bad Bunny did a perfect blend of like giving you like reggaeton beats, salsa, the feels, the vibes of Puerto Rico, but staying true to like who Bad Bunny is with his lyricism.
Thanks for tuning in to the No Clearance Podcast. Now subscribe, hit that like button, and enjoy the clip.
No clearance.
I did want to talk about Bad Bunny's new album. I am so obsessed. I don't like to speak Spanish, so I'm not going to say the name of it in Spanish. I'm going to say the name of it in English. Yes, I'm very gentrified if you give a fuck. Yeah. So the name of his album is I Should Have Took More Photos. The whole album is basically a love letter.
Is that what it stood for? That's what it meant in English? Oh, that's a fire-ass name.
So it essentially is a love letter to Puerto Rico and just like appreciating the island. But he brings up the topic of like, yo, Puerto Rico is going to become Hawaii if we don't get it together. The tourism and the shit like that. You got a lot of white people now trying to buy up a lot of property in Puerto Rico. Thankfully, my family, we still have our house, my grandmother's house, and it's intact and it's together, but it's very much so becoming very gentrified. You have a lot, it's essentially, my mom describes it because my mom's right there. You know, she's in Puerto Rico now. She's a, what do you call that, snowbird? She doesn't stay in Boston when it's cold. She goes to Puerto Rico. And she said that it feels like Aruba. And that's not a compliment, right? It's very much so a lot of white people who do not speak the language. Because how are you going to come to an island, don't speak the language? They complain about the food, talking about it's spicy. I saw a reel on Instagram where it's like, motherfucker ordered a fucking empanada and wanted the crust cut off. Just a little glimpse. So bad, you know, like, what the fuck does that sound like? But Bad Bunny is essentially bringing attention to what's going on in Puerto Rico, but in his like Bad Bunny flair. And there were some people that were like upset and they were like, nah, we're not trying to be conscious right now. We're just trying to have a good time. But I thought that Bad Bunny did a perfect blend of like giving you like reggaeton beats, salsa, the feels, the vibes of Puerto Rico, but staying true to like who Bad Bunny is with his lyricism. So if you haven't done so already, you should absolutely check out Bad Bunny's new album. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
KC, that's a very interesting subject matter that he's speaking on. I feel like this is happening damn near everywhere in the world. White people are leaving America and raising up prices everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's happening in Mexico. This is happening in Europe. Europeans are getting sick of the tourism. Matter of fact, there's been things online where people were like throwing food at tourists, like at restaurants.
Don't you throw no food at me while I'm on vacation.
Well,
that's crazy.
More like the Wahites, but this has been a real thing. The only place I haven't heard is Panama. A lot of black people have been moving to Panama.
So here's my thing too. I would say it's frustrating because I think if you're adding money to the island, it's great, right? Like if you're coming and you're submerging into like the culture, you get, you know, instead of going to like a Hilton or whatever, you're getting like an Airbnb, like you're doing stuff very centered in like giving back to the island. That's different, right? Versus like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. Basically, I go there and I'm like, super far removed, if that makes sense. And I think it's, you know what I mean? It's like going to Hawaii, but not going to visit the volcanoes and like educating yourself about where you are. I think that, and this is not just a Puerto Rican thing. I think if you go anywhere outside of the US, you should submerge yourself into the culture and where you are and soak up that history. I mean, when I went to Cuba, I got an Airbnb as much as I could. I did different activities with the natives and things of that nature, you know, tipped, you know, had conversations and like learned more about where I was at. And I think now more than ever, it's more so about boosting the economy of Puerto Rico and not the pockets of America. And I also think Puerto Rico is a territory, and yes, we're like citizens and yada, 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 but the voting situation, and there's all these stipulations of like, you're a citizen, but, and then there's this long list of fucking shit we don't get or shit we don't, you know what I mean?
That's still crazy.
It's insane, but I think there should be more attention to it. And I'm glad he did this album to really one, name the beauty in the like, the gorgeousness of Puerto Rico. If you've never been, absolutely recommend going. If you need an excuse to go, he's having a residency there, which is another opportunity where he's adding to the, the economy of Puerto Rico. I think X amount of days in July when he's launching it and starting it off, it's only open to residents in Puerto Rico. And then in August, he's opening it up to anybody to come. But yeah, I absolutely plan on going. I'm tempted to use my grandmother's address, but I'm going to be, ethical and I'll wait till August. Yeah.
No clearance.